I mean, I do feel like if it had no truth to it, that Gucci would have debunked it more.
It's a range of punishment, and it'll be in the province of the judge, whoever gets the case. But it could be from 0 all the way to life imprisonment.
What happens when a rapper fresh out the feds turns around and allegedly targets the same man who helped build his name? Pooh Shiesty had it all lined up. A platinum run, a real second chance, and even an ankle monitor keeping him in check. But somehow, all of that slipped away in a single wild afternoon, and the trail he left behind, way too obvious to ignore.
You are a ward of the state. You still have to be where you're supposed to be. Otherwise, they can put you back in prison. Period. Hard stop and a story.
The same OG who helped elevate him to the spotlight is now at the center of this chaos. Pooh Shiesty stepped out of federal custody in October 2025 with strict conditions and a chance to reset his life. Fast forward just 5 months, and now he's facing serious allegations again, this time for reportedly pressing the very person who once backed him and helped secure his success. The streets started whispering, but this time, those whispers got way louder attention from the authorities. Trell Donald Williams Jr., born November 8, 1999, in Memphis, Tennessee, came up grinding through the city's intense rap scene.
Supersede indictment, man. This the indictment out there, our real indictment, so we got indicted twice. So they smacked us with more charges.
Memphis music has always hit different. Gritty beats, real stories, and heavy emotion behind every line. Shiesty fit right into that energy, no question. Back in 2019, his track Hell Night with Big 30 started turning heads, and the momentum kept building fast. By mid-2020, the buzz couldn't be ignored anymore. Gucci Mane, one of the most respected names in the game, took notice. On June 19, 2020, Shiesty officially signed to Gucci's 1017 Records, with Atlantic backing the move, locking in what looked like a major rise to the top.
I heard about it from a bunch of people before it really got elevated to the status of being, sort of something that every rap fan knew about.
Their collab, Still Together, made everything official in public. The mentor-protege link was clear as day. Shiesty wasn't just another artist, he was the pick. Gucci Mane was building something serious with 1017, mixing artist development with real street credibility and sharp branding. And right at the center of it all, Shiesty was supposed to be the main piece holding everything together. The rise happened fast, almost too fast. In 2021, his mixtape Shiesty Season went platinum, and Back in Blood with Lil Durk was everywhere. Radio couldn't stop playing it, streams kept climbing, and social media was flooded non-stop. That track was impossible to escape. Gucci had already put major backing behind Shiesty, featuring him on So Icy Summer and setting him up as the face of the new 1017 wave. From the outside, it looked like the perfect formula. Gucci finds raw talent, sharpens it, and turns it into success while everyone involved benefits. That's how the label game is supposed to work when everything clicks. After his own time away, Gucci focused on rebuilding 1017 by signing artists with real Southern roots and authentic stories. And with Shiesty going platinum right away, the strategy looks stronger than ever.
Some wild horse who can go out on the prairie and just go, do whatever you want to other wild horses.
But the streets didn't let go that easy. In October 2020, Shiesty got hit with serious charges tied to an armed robbery and a shooting in Florida. Then came another situation at a Miami strip club in 2021, adding more attention for the wrong reasons. By January 2022, things got even heavier. He took a plea deal on a federal firearms conspiracy charge and was sentenced to 63 months, shifting everything off course in a major way. He ended up serving about 3 years in a federal facility out in Pennsylvania. Even while locked up, he stayed active, dropping Shiesty Season, certified in 2022, and Gucci was still featured on the track list. From the outside looking in, everything between artist and label still seemed locked in tight. The music kept flowing, and the business side didn't look disrupted at all. Any tension that might have been building stayed under the surface for the time being. Nothing had fully spilled out into the open yet, at least not publicly.
Thinking that shit would break us or make us conspiracy to possess firearms in front of the drug trafficking, violent crimes. The 3 other sides you ever.
Then came that moment. She jumped on live stream right after getting out, holding up paperwork for everyone to see. He was making it loud and clear, trying to prove he stayed solid the entire time he was locked up. He was talking fast, repeating himself, almost like he needed everyone to hear it twice. But the message didn't change. He stood firm and didn't turn on anyone involved. He wanted every viewer locked in to understand one thing: when pressure came down, nobody folded. That was the image he was pushing hard. But here's where things take a sharp turn. Showing you stayed solid and actually moving smart are not the same thing at all. Because according to federal prosecutors, just hours after that live stream ended, things went left in a serious way. They claim Shiesty went from flashing paperwork online to allegedly getting tied up in a brand new federal situation before that same day even wrapped up. Shiesty got released to home confinement in October 2025 with an ankle monitor locked onto his leg. But let's be clear, supervised release is not real freedom at all. Every move gets watched by a probation officer, there's a strict curfew, and leaving your assigned area is off limits. No weapons, no slipping up, and absolutely no new charges. Break even one rule, and it's straight back behind bars. No debate, no second chances. At that point, your time isn't even fully yours anymore. The system controls where you go and what you do until that supervision period is over. Criminal defense attorney Bruce Rivers explained it in simple terms for anyone confused about how serious those restrictions really are. There's no room for mistakes in a setup like that. But Shiesty? It started to look like he wasn't too concerned. After getting out, talk began spreading that he wasn't happy with his 1017 situation. People were whispering about issues with money splits, royalties, creative limits, and how deals get recouped behind the scenes. The streets picked up on all of it fast. At the same time, rumors started linking him to Yo Gotti's CMG label showing interest. Memphis and Atlanta already have that quiet tension, so a switch like that would have shaken things up heavy in the southern rap scene. But Gucci wasn't about to let that happen easily. He had already put serious time, money, and effort into building Shiesty from a local Memphis name into a nationwide force. And letting that walk away would have been a huge loss. That contract wasn't going anywhere. By October 2024, Gucci had already made big cuts at 1017, dropping most of the roster over profit and loss decisions. But out of everybody, he kept Shiesty and Fujiano. That says a lot. Being one of the only two left standing was supposed to mean loyalty, trust, and long-term vision. From Gucci's side, it looked like a clear message. I'm still rocking with you. I still believe in what you bring. That's how it was supposed to come across. But for Shiesty, it didn't feel like support. It started to feel like pressure. Instead of seeing loyalty, he reportedly saw limits closing in on him. The more tension built, the more trapped he seemed to feel, and that frustration didn't stay quiet for long. One unverified street report even claimed that money from Yo Gotti's side was involved in trying to buy him out of the deal. But when Gucci allegedly refused to let it happen, everything got messy real quick. Whether that story is fully true or not, one thing is clear. The situation was heating up fast. Shiesty wanted out of 1017, and Gucci wasn't letting him walk.
I mean, I do feel like if it had no truth to it, that Gucci would have debunked it more.
But instead of handling it through legal moves, negotiations, or industry strategy like other artists have done before, things reportedly took a different direction. Instead of lawyers and paperwork, there are claims he started making calls that raised serious eyebrows. Reports suggest he reached out to people close to him, including family and collaborators, setting up a situation that would later draw major attention. Adam, 22, even said sources out of Memphis told him something had already gone down between Shiesty and Gucci before the public heard anything. The rumors were already spreading quietly, building up weeks before anything official finally came out. Gucci staying quiet wasn't weakness, it was strategy. He was moving calculated, not careless. His security detail reportedly included off-duty police officers, and everything that happened was caught on surveillance cameras. While others might react fast, Gucci played it slow and let things build the right way. While people in the streets kept talking, Shiesty seemed to believe silence and loyalty codes would shield him. But Gucci was relying on something way more solid, clear footage and a controlled setup. That difference in thinking would end up changing everything. January 10th, 2026, Dallas, Texas. A studio on Dallas Parkway became the turning point where things went from tension to a serious federal situation. What was supposed to be a conversation turned into something much bigger, and the consequences hit hard. According to an FBI affidavit filed by Special Agent Brittany Garcia, Shiesty allegedly arranged a meeting at the studio, presenting it as a business discussion about his 1017 contract with Gucci. 3 individuals showed up. Gucci Mane, listed in documents as RD, along with 2 associates. They reportedly traveled to Dallas with Gucci's head of security and another officer, expecting a straightforward sit-down. From their point of view, this wasn't conflict, it was business. Two sides coming together to talk things out after years of working and earning together. Around 1:45 in the afternoon, they arrived at the studio, located inside a larger office building. But when they got there, the place was locked up. While waiting around, they decided to pass the time, heading to a nearby store, grabbing drinks and cups, just trying to stay relaxed while the meeting got sorted out. Nobody on Gucci's side saw this coming at all. Not one person expected anything serious to go down at what was supposed to be a label meeting. This wasn't the kind of place where people walk in thinking something could go wrong like that. Behind the scenes, though, things were already moving differently. Reports say Shiesty's father, Rel Williams Sr., was repeatedly calling the studio owner, listed as JN in official documents. By 2:53 p.m., JN finally answered and was told the session needed to be booked so Shiesty and Gucci could supposedly record music together. That was enough to get the doors opened? Everyone started filing inside, and just like that, the setup was in motion. Gucci walked in trusting someone he had helped build up, not expecting anything out of the ordinary. Around 3:39 p.m., a studio employee showed up and noticed Shiesty and his father standing near the back door, going back and forth on the phone about something serious. Then things escalated fast. 9 people moved into the control room where Gucci and his group were sitting, watching a football game. 9 individuals, not 2, not 3. 9 people stepping into what was supposed to be a simple meeting. That number alone changed the whole energy in the room. And it didn't stop there. Reports say Shiesty was on the phone with his probation officer while sitting inside that Dallas studio, far from where his ankle monitor conditions allowed him to be. He reportedly claimed he had permission to be outside, but that statement didn't line up with the restrictions in place. That level of risk raised serious questions. Being on a call with a probation officer while allegedly involved in something this major added another layer to an already intense situation. The probation officer told him straight up, "Go home." But he didn't listen. Instead, he turned to Gucci and asked him to step into a private recording room to talk business face to face. Gucci even suggested they could just reschedule and handle it later, but Shiesty pushed for it right then and there. Eventually, Gucci agreed to the private conversation while everyone else stayed back in the control room watching the game. At that point, nothing seemed off. One of Gucci's people even offered drinks to Shiesty's crew, and at least 2 of them grabbed cups and poured up. The energy stayed calm, relaxed, almost normal for about 10 more minutes. But inside that recording room, things shifted fast. Shiesty reportedly pulled out contract termination papers that were already prepared and told Gucci to sign them. This wasn't something thrown together last minute. The paperwork was ready to go, which made it clear this had been planned ahead. Gucci refused to sign. That's when the tone changed. The conversation got tense, voices rising, and the situation started turning aggressive. Someone in the control room noticed through the glass and quickly texted Gucci's security team, waiting in the lobby. Then came the moment that changed everything. Shiesty reportedly told Big 30 to grab a bag. Big 30 stepped out, came back with it, and that's when things escalated to a whole different level. Reports claim Shiesty pulled out a black AK-style pistol and pointed it directly at Gucci, demanding he sign the release right there on the spot. All of this happening in a studio, under surveillance cameras, with an ankle monitor on his leg, and security, including off-duty officers, not far away. The situation had officially crossed into something serious with no easy way out. Bruce Rivers broke down exactly what that firearm charge could mean in federal court, and the numbers are heavy. Just that one charge alone can bring a mandatory 10-year sentence stacked on top of anything else that comes with it. That's not something you away, and it's not up to a judge to reduce. It's locked in by federal law and runs consecutive no matter what. According to reports, the situation escalated to the point where Gucci ended up signing the paperwork under pressure. William Sr. and Big 30 were right there while it happened, and Gucci wasn't allowed to leave the recording room during it all. It didn't stop there either. Reports claim Big 30 pulled out his phone and recorded the moment, capturing Gucci signing while being made to say on camera that he was releasing sheet from 1017. They actually filmed the whole thing, seemingly thinking that footage would work in their favor later. Then things reportedly went even further. Items like Gucci's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash were taken during the incident. What started as a dispute over business had now crossed into something much more personal and intense. Taking something as meaningful as a wedding ring added a whole different level of disrespect to the situation. Meanwhile, back in the control room, the energy had completely shifted. Reports say others involved were pulling out weapons and going through people's belongings. Watches, chains, wallets, Anything valuable was being taken in the moment. Some individuals were reportedly pushed around during the chaos, with one person forced onto a couch and another grabbed from behind. The entire scene had turned from a business meeting into something far more serious, unfolding fast with lasting consequences. One co-defendant, McDaniel, reportedly went as far as threatening to shoot someone for even moving the wrong way. That's how intense things got in that moment. Shiesty had to step in and tell his own guy to calm down, which says a lot about how close this situation came to turning into something even worse. After everything went down, they left the scene using multiple vehicles. No shots were fired, but the amount of evidence left behind? It was more than enough to build a serious case, over and over again. The ankle monitor alone placed exactly where it all happened. His GPS was tracking every move in real time. On top of that, cell phone records and license plate readers reportedly showed how all 9 individuals coordinated their travel. It didn't help that one of the vehicles used was rented under his father's name. That detail added another direct link investigators could follow without much effort. Surveillance cameras were everywhere too, inside the studio, outside nearby offices, even at a supply store and the hotel where some of them stayed. Video footage reportedly captured key moments, leaving very little to question about who was involved. Then came fingerprint evidence tying at least 2 of the individuals directly to the scene. When you combine physical evidence, digital tracking, and surveillance footage, it all pointed in the same direction, toward the same group. And just when it couldn't get any more unbelievable, another twist came up. Within hours of leaving, some of the individuals were allegedly posting on social media, showing off items that appeared to match what was taken. One post even showed a Rolex that investigators believe was connected to the incident. That move added even more attention to a case that already had a mountain of evidence building fast. They were really out there showing everything online like it was nothing, posting images and clips that seemed to feature the same items tied to the situation, putting it all out where anyone, including investigators, could see it. That kind of attention only made things worse and brought more focus onto what had already happened. And then another detail came out that made things even tighter. One of the bags taken from the studio reportedly had an AirTag inside. That meant the location of the items could be tracked in real time, leading straight to where everything ended up. When you stack it all together, the ankle monitor data, phone records, surveillance footage, social media activity, rental agreements, license plate tracking, fingerprints, and even that AirTag, it created a massive trail. Every piece pointed back to the same group, making the case stronger with each layer added. For nearly 3 months, the case stayed sealed while investigators built everything up carefully. They didn't rush. They collected every detail, every clip of footage, every GPS signal, making sure nothing was left uncovered. Then on April 2nd, 2026, everything moved at once. Coordinated actions took place across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville at the same time. 8 of the 9 individuals were taken into custody, including Shiesty, his father, Rel Williams Sr., Big 30, and several others connected to the case. One individual is still being searched for, adding another layer to the situation. The main charge, conspiracy to commit kidnapping under 18 U.S.C. Section 1201, is extremely serious. It carries penalties ranging from years all the way up to life in federal custody. This isn't state-level consequences either. This is federal time, where most of the sentence must be served with very limited reductions, making the stakes as high as they can get. The Northern District of Texas held a press conference, and the tone was serious from the start. This is known as a strict district, with judges who don't have much patience for situations like this at all. Bruce Rivers had already spoken on that, mentioning he'd encountered a judge from that same district before and knew how firm they can be during sentencing. According to him, these aren't the type of courts where you expect much leniency. Prosecutors laid everything out clearly, pointing to the massive amount of evidence collected. Subpoenas, search warrants, and coordination between agencies like the FBI, Memphis Police Department, and the Shelby County Sheriff's Office all came together on this case. They made it known, they moved quickly, and built it carefully. Then the focus shifted directly onto Shiesty. Prosecutors highlighted one key issue that stood out heavily, being tied to a new federal case while still under supervision from a previous one. In the eyes of the court, that's a major problem. It signals a pattern that judges take seriously, especially when someone had conditions in place and still ended up in another situation like this. The argument presented was straightforward. There were clear opportunities to stay on track, but decisions were made that led somewhere else entirely. On April 8, 2026, U.S. Magistrate Judge Renee Harris Tolliver made the call. Bond was denied, and Shiesty was ordered to remain in federal custody in Dallas. The decision pointed to several factors, including the reported involvement of firearms, the seriousness of the charges, and violations tied to supervised release conditions. Shiesty wasn't going anywhere after that, and here's the part that really makes the whole situation hit harder. The contract he reportedly forced Gucci to sign doesn't even hold up legally. Under US law, any agreement signed under pressure or threat can be thrown out completely. All the other side has to do is reject it, and it's like it never existed in the first place. No court has backed that release, and multiple entertainment attorneys have made it clear the original 1017 deal is still active. So after everything that allegedly happened, the contract he was trying to escape from is still right there in place. That's what makes it so serious. Reports suggest he risked everything: his freedom, his future, and even pulled his father into a federal case, along with several others now facing major charges. All of that over a document that carries no legal power in the situation. That reality changes how the whole story is viewed. The same agreement he wanted out of, it didn't go anywhere. Rick Ross, who's been in the industry long enough to understand how these deals and disputes should be handled, also spoke on it. He didn't take sides, showing respect to both individuals involved, but he made one thing clear: there are lines you don't cross, no matter how frustrated you get with business. According to Ross, there was a much smarter way to handle it, and the approach didn't have to go anywhere near this level. That's really the core of it right there. When there's a problem, you sit down, bring in lawyers, and handle it the right way through the system. That's how real business gets done. Rick Ross made it simple based on everything he's seen over the years. Deals fall apart all the time, but trying to force your way out never works in a business setting. He said it straight. This isn't something you handle with pressure or threats. You sit at the table, negotiate, and fight for what you believe you deserve through legal moves. Every major artist who ever got out of a tough deal did it that way, not by force. Look at Prince. He literally wrote "slave" on his face and went head-to-head with Warner Brothers for years. It got messy, it played out in public, but he stayed within the system and eventually came out on top. That's how the industry works at that level. You can't push your way out of contracts like that. It doesn't move like that in real business. Then things took another turn on April 10th, 2026. Just one day after Bond was denied, Gucci Mane responded in his own way through music. He dropped a track called "Crash Dummy," produced by Zaytoven, and the message was clear from the jump. One line stood out heavy: "Tell the truth, you went out like a real crash dummy, and after all that, you still signed to me." That bar alone had people talking everywhere. Gucci didn't hold back either. He compared his position to Birdman running Cash Money, called the whole situation a setup, and spoke on people mistaking kindness for weakness. He even touched on the idea of loyalty being broken, making it clear how he saw everything that went down. Through that track, he made sure his side of the story reached the public loud and clear. Shiesty is still signed to 1017, and that forced paperwork didn't change anything at all. The whole move didn't work, the contract is still active, and now the culture is split right down the middle over it. Some people look at it like he was an artist pushed to the edge, trying to break free from a deal he wasn't happy with. They see the frustration as real, even if the way it played out crossed major lines. Others see it completely differently. To them, it's straight disrespect, going against the same person who helped build your name and gave you the platform to go from Memphis drill to platinum success. Then 50 Cent stepped in, adding his usual energy online. He started trolling Gucci, bringing up past issues and old tensions, keeping the situation alive in public conversations. Yo Gotti, on the other hand, stayed quiet. No direct statements, no public reaction. But that didn't stop the rumors about CMG from spreading everywhere. Forums, comment sections, social media, people kept connecting dots whether they were real or not, and then things got even more out of control. False stories started flooding timelines almost immediately after the arrest. Some posts claimed Shiesty had been seriously attacked while in custody, throwing out wild details and dramatic headlines to grab attention. Others flipped the story, saying he was involved in an incident and ended up locked down for most of the day. Those posts spread fast, pulling in thousands of shares with emotional captions trying to make it seem urgent and real. But none of it checked out. No official reports, no court records, and no confirmed statements backed up any of those claims. It was all noise, adding confusion to a situation that was already serious enough on its own. Federal facilities run on strict security, and anything serious happening inside would immediately lead to investigations and official reports. That's why those rumors didn't hold up under any real scrutiny. What people were seeing online wasn't verified information, it was hype. Stories getting twisted just to pull attention, clicks, and reactions from the public. Woody, a respected Memphis figure who's been through the system and even showed up during the Y trial, gave one of the most direct perspectives on everything. He's seen what federal time really looks like. Years around people facing decades or even life sentences. He understands how serious it gets when the system locks in on someone. From that point of view, his message hit different. He made it clear how fast things can change when decisions go the wrong way, and how those choices don't just disappear once the moment passes. Then it all circles back to one thing: pride and ego. That's what he pointed out early, and it stuck. When people around you keep hyping things up, it creates a false sense of control. Nobody in that circle is stepping in to say slow down or think it through. That's not the role most of them play. They move with you, back you up in the moment. But when everything shifts and legal consequences hit, the situation changes fast. At that point, it all lands on the person named in the case. That's where reality sets in. Woody's message was simple but heavy. You have to recognize when it's time to step back, when to move different, and when a situation has gone as far as it should go. At some point, it reaches a breaking point. The people around you might say they care, but a lot of times they're really attached to the version of you that's winning. They hype everything up, make you feel untouchable, like rules don't apply to you at all. But when it all flips, none of those same voices are sitting next to you when a judge is calling out your sentence. That support disappears fast when things get real. Woody spoke on that from firsthand experience. He described that exact moment when the handcuffs lock in and everything changes instantly, when it stops being excitement and starts becoming reality. One day people are cheering you on and the next, silence. Nobody around, nobody backing you up, just you dealing with the consequences. He painted the picture clearly. That lonely ride in the back of a federal vehicle hits different. That's when it really sinks in that everyone who pushed you forward is back home living their normal lives while you're facing something serious. Then he took it even deeper. He brought up something a lot of people don't even want to talk about openly. He spoke on how real this all is. This isn't a game, not entertainment, not something you can reset or walk away from. These situations come with lasting consequences that affect real lives. He pointed toward the bigger picture: real outcomes, real losses, and decisions that can't be undone. And then he left it hanging with a question that most people avoid because it forces you to really think about everything at stake. Why do people question seeing young men with money and success? A big part of it comes down to the choices that follow. That's not just talk. That's coming from someone who's seen how things play out from inside the system and made it back out with a different mindset. Shiesty is only 26. He had platinum records, major backing, and a deal that many artists coming out of Memphis would do anything to have. Money, fans, visibility. He had the full package plus something rare. A second chance. Because the truth is, the system doesn't hand those out often. And now, if convicted, he could be facing decades or even life in federal prison. It doesn't stop there either. His father is now dealing with conspiracy charges tied to the situation. Big 30, someone who's been there since the early days, is facing serious time as well. And then there are several others connected to this, all potentially facing federal consequences over something that could have been handled in a completely different way. This case is expected to move toward trial in 2026 or 2027, and when it does, more details are going to come out. Surveillance footage, witness testimony, forensic breakdowns, it's all expected to be part of what's presented. The defense hasn't shown their full strategy yet, but they're likely to challenge key points like identification and how certain events are being described. Still, with everything already mentioned, tracking data, online activity, physical evidence, and multiple camera angles, the case appears very strong from the outside. Meanwhile, Gucci Mane is still active. 1017 is still moving forward, and the contract at the center of everything remains in place. And he's now sitting in a federal holding facility in Dallas, no longer dealing with an ankle monitor, but something much more serious. All of this tied back to one idea, that a street approach could solve a business situation, and it clearly went another way. If you've been following this whole breakdown, tap in, hit like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Stay locked in for more content coming your way.